So we are here with Chris Burroughs, the incoming president of the TIA. It is my great fortune to ask him about his vision and what he hopes to accomplish as the next president of TIA. So Chris, I'm just going to turn right to it. You have been with the TIA for 13 years, but I suppose it's possible that there are some members who don't know you yet. So tell me a few things about yourself.
Yeah, sure, absolutely, appreciate it, Anne. Like you said, been with TIA 13 years. Started with the organization as manager of government affairs, and kind of rose my way up, becoming director and then vice president back in 2018. Prior to that, I actually worked for a small lobbying firm. TIA was one of our clients, so I got to know the former leadership and some of the board members, and came in-house 13 years ago, and then had some time working for the U.S. House of Representatives on the Transportation Committee, go figure. So obviously gaining a knowledge and understanding of transportation, highway policy issues.
Right.
Yeah.
So clearly a legislative expert. I assume that will be one of your continued priorities for the TIA. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. As I transition this role, kind of have three priorities that I'm kind of putting as top of my pillars as we come into this role. And one, obviously, being advocacy. It's my background, it's my passion, it's yours as well. I think it's extremely important what we're doing here in Washington, D.C. On the advocacy front. It's also extremely important, and we're happy to launch a state and regional advocacy focus next year. So it's important what we're doing back home as well in terms of advocacy. Secondly, want to look at the membership engagement and doing more regional meetings. I think those have been wildly successful over the past couple of years. Look to expand that and just do touch base with members as much as we can from a membership engagement perspective. Third is looking at our reputation, looking at coalitions, working with shippers and carriers, and building up that reputation and relationship with those two organizations as well. And a lot of it, kudos to you, is you've done an amazing job the last 4 years as president and CEO of TIA. So there's not a lot that I need to change, and you've done a great job in all three of these areas. So it's made my job certainly a lot easier coming in.
Well, I'm not interviewing Chris so he can compliment me, but I will take it. So now, that being said, there are some challenges at an organizational level, certainly
Sure.
from a legislative perspective and otherwise. What do you foresee as some of those challenges?
Yeah, I don't think it's a surprise. Obviously, the challenge that we hear mostly from members on a day-to-day basis is this rampant fraud in the supply chain. It's obviously, as our fraud report pointed out, it's costing our members tens of thousands of dollars in terms of claims, in terms of double payment, in terms of technology spend, and from an employment perspective, bringing additional folks in to create a much more robust carrier selection process. So the issue of fraud is hugely important, not just from a financial side of things, but also a reputational side of things. We have heard from some of our shippers that are part of our advisory shipper committee that some of the trust and brokers is in question because of this issue of fraud. I think this is part of our PR reputation discussion that we need to have, is that hey, we as brokers in this space are a solution to fraud. We are not a problem. We're all faced with this issue: carriers, shippers, brokers, all the way down to the consumers in terms of the prices we're paying at the grocery stores because of all this cargo theft and fraud that's going on. So really just working better in unison to address these problems, working with FMCSA, working with Congress, working with industry stakeholders. But yes, fraud certainly is a huge threat to our industry and the supply chain on a whole.
Yeah, one of the things that we talk about is how much the brokers invest in terms of technology and in terms of relationships.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, we're there more so than any other part of the supply chain in terms of investing to make sure that we don't suffer from fraud. But again, getting the word out, making sure that people understand that.
Yeah,
all right.
That's the benefit of working with a broker for a shipper is having that huge technology spend, having that knowledge and carrier selection, industry expertise on the selection process to insulate some of them liability and make sure the freight gets to where it needs to be.
Right.
So.
Our core value as a broker is really trying to serve our customer the most efficient we can.
Yeah.
So speaking of core values, let's close a question with you. What are some of your core values? What will you bring to the TIA leadership role?
Yeah, I think from a TIA leadership role and kind of a culture perspective, it may sound kind of corny, but like I was thinking of core values that I want to bring, and I try to tie it to TIA. So I think 3 of my important ones are teamwork. We have an amazing staff here at TIA. We're a great team, and I think we need to continue to be a great team and working together to bring value and effort to our membership. I would be integrity. Obviously, we want to be in the utmost ethical association around. Our members have entrusted us with not only financial, but also being their voice on Capitol Hill and other places, and integrity and ethics is a huge deal. And third, I think yay would be adaptability. We need to continue to be creative in the way that we're adapting what we're doing and driving that member value back to them. I think it's wildly important. So, like I said, it's kind of corny, but TIA in terms of value.
That's really
but,
nice.
Yeah.
That's really nice. Well, congratulations. You deserve it. I know you're going to be a great leader.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, Anne. A question for you.
Oh my God, he's turning the table.
Thinking back on your tenure here of 4 years, where have you seen TI grow the most under your leadership?
Well, I was thinking about this. I think, starting in the pandemic and starting where I took over for a leader who had been here for, a couple of decades, what was most important, it seemed to me, was to stabilize and empower the team. I think we have done that. The second thing that I felt we grew is talk about integrity. It's really bringing integrity and transparency to the staff, to the association, making sure that we live by the ethical obligations that our members do. And the last thing was creating a successful environment, again, for in-person meetings, in-person conferences. As you know, we had to take off a couple of years, and we brought it back. And I think the joy and enthusiasm of the membership in being back together again, I can't take credit for all of that, but I'm glad I was available to oversee our transition back to being together. It is so important. There are these intangible qualities about being together. The membership growth, of course, was part of that. Part of that I have to, credit the economy at the time. But I'm very, very proud of where the association is today.
Yeah, like I said, you've done an amazing job the last 4 years. So to kind of wrap things up, we've been transitioning here the last, couple of weeks. Give me, what sort of advice would you give me as we become CEO?
Well, I was going to joke, but I'm not going to joke. It's too easy. I think one of the things that I would recommend, which I think you already do, is have an open door policy so that anyone can come to you on the staff, regardless of if they don't directly report to you or not, with a question, with a suggestion, with an opportunity. I think it's always important to know that to your staff that you are accessible to them and you take them all seriously. Even if they're, a junior employee, I think it's always important to recognize that they have something that they can provide or an idea that you may not have thought of. That would be my advice.
No, I like that. You certainly always have that in your policy.
My door is literally always open.
Yeah, that's true. So, again, I want to thank you, Anne, for your time. Yeah, it's been blessed to have you doing something for the past 4 years. You've done for me personally and professionally, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, TIA membership. I hope you enjoy our interview.